So hello everybody, welcome back to the final session of the Netnod meeting. It's 1:30, so if you could take your seats, we'll start this final session. Okay, so the first speaker of this session is Hafstein Jonsson. He's from Phase AdNet. He's the co-founder of Phase AdNet and a senior advisor within telecom and broadband networks. He has experience as a CEO of both private and municipal companies. And for 10 years, he headed the municipal fiber network in Karlstad, as well as being active in the Swedish Local Fiber Alliance for network owners engaged in the development of broadband infrastructure in Sweden. So would you please join me in welcoming him to the stage? Thank you.
Oh, thank you for this wonderful introduction. For a long time, I didn't know that was me you were talking about. And thank you for the invitation. Nice to be here. First speaker after lunch, the second day. Life is an uphill struggle. So this better be interesting, yes? Yeah, what I'm going to talk about is municipality. I lost you there, didn't I? Municipality is like a code word. You say it, and people fall asleep. Well, here what it is. When a trusted part, like municipality, at least yet, and at least in Sweden, deploy fiber network, activate it, operates it, and let all service providers on equal basis offer the services to those connected to the network. That's what I'm talking about today. A municipal, open net, fiber-based network. 3 ingredients: municipality, fiber network, open network on equal basis. This is what I'm going to go through. I'm going to give you a brief history of why the municipality fiber network in Sweden exists. And I say municipal fiber network, some say city networks, some say Stadsnät in Swedish, or some say something else. I will try to say municipal fiber network. And I mean this, 3 ingredients: municipal, fiber network, open network basis. I will give you a history, and I think that's good because sometimes we need to go back in history to understand our present time and don't do mistakes again, and also to realize what they've contributed to Sweden. Also, I'm going to give you a bit about what the debate is about, because municipal fiber network are not entirely undisputable, and also look a little bit about the future. And what I'm saying here today isn't entirely my own invention. I'm trying to base this on study and research that have been done. There have been quite studies done on municipal fiber network, and on fiber network, and on open infrastructure, which I'm basing this a little bit about. Also, me and my colleague in Phase AdNet, Mr. Staffan Gustafsson, who used to be an IT director for one of the largest municipalities in Sweden, and also heading one of the municipal fiber network, we've done 2 studies. One released last autumn, where we based on studies and research, but we also interviewed a lot of municipality fiber networks to understand where they're at, what the future, what the threat is, and what they're contributing. But we just did another report, another study, that we will release next week. And there we were interviewing all the supply chains, the system integrators, the service provider, and everybody in the supply chain for that they're doing business in and with the municipal fiber network. Excluding the large telcos, because we wanted to see how this operate. And it's quite fascinating that this is a large industry today. And Sweden is exporting steel to the United States. You may have heard of this. And the value of that is less than the value of those in the supply chain of the municipal fiber networks. Those delivering and developing systems and equipment and delivering services. So it's starting to be a substantial industry. I don't need to go through this due to the wonderful presentation, but I will say this. I'm the second Icelandic speaker today. And if you calculate per capita, that's a world record. And actually, since there are two of us here, they don't have a full football team in Iceland. But I think Steintor left, so we'll be good off in that. And I think I should mention this as well. This is me, just about 10 years ago, a little bit more than 10 years ago. And I'm next to one of my idols, which is, of course, the 40 gigabit switch there. And the man there to the right is Peter Lötberg, of course, who's in the Internet Foundation. And Peter, he called me, 11 years ago. And I didn't know who he was. Ignorant of me, he's from Karlstad, and I live in Karlstad, so I should have known. And he called me and said, "Hi, this is Peter. I want to order a 40 gigabit connection to my mother in Karlstad." And back then, 11 years ago, 40 gigabit was rather fast, at least if you had it as a internet access. And since he asked for his 40 gigabit to his mother, I said, "Well, Mr. Peter, I'm sure your mother will be quite sufficient with 10 megabit." But then he asked me to Google him, and I had 3 million hits, and then I understood that maybe he knew more than me of the issue. And then I asked him, "When is this due? Because your mother house is not connecting to our fiber network." "Well, in 3 weeks," Peter said, and that's how he works. You who know him. And we did that, and the reason why we are municipality fiber network wanted to do this 10 years ago, or 11, is for one reason only, and that was because fiber wasn't on the agenda at all back then. This is how fast time goes. And when we were asking house owner to invest in their living by connecting their houses with fiber, they said, "Why?" "Because it's the future," we said. "Who says?" "Well, Peter says." "Peter who?" It wasn't on the agenda. So we hit the world record. And this was the most spread news from Sweden, 2007. And you can still Google it if you feel it. And it was in press all over the world, except in Karlstad, because they didn't know. Well, it was there actually as well. So this is where we are coming from, that the municipal fiber network all have for a long time been pioneers in deploying fiber and other things. And the history of that is when, in the mid-90s, when municipality needed more capacity. at a better price. There wasn't that many to go to. And this is actually an answer that my colleague got. Well, you have ISDN. How many in here still have ISDN? Yeah. No one. I'm not surprised. But it was a revolutionary technique. You could speak on the phone and be on the net at the same time. And this is not that many years ago. And because of this, because it was priced high and the municipality needed more capacity to schools and to their facilities, they started to deploy fiber. And canalization. Every time somebody was digging in the streets, they would put down canalization of fiber. And you who live in Sweden or during the summertime, you know that this went rather fast because there's a lot of digging in the street. But then someone came with the idea, well, since we have fiber and it's well priced, maybe we should start to offer it to other companies and private households. So this is the story of why the municipalities in Sweden are doing this. And from the beginning, it was only dark fiber. Then the idea of letting service provider offer their services through the network. Everybody was not ready for that back then, because you had DSL and often you had both coax and into the building. So why would you need that? And DSL was deregulated, so you could choose operator and you could choose copper or DSL. So even here, the municipal fiber network were a bit ahead. And the same thing when going to apartments. There's coax. You don't need Cat6 or fiber. You will never need that. So we have to convince, but And the same thing when we went for the residential market for the detached and terraced houses, to offer them connection to fiber. The operator said there is not and will never be a business case to support such a thing. And this is only about 10, 11, 12 years ago. It's indisputable today. You wouldn't think about this is nonsense. Today it's human right to have your house connected with fiber, at least if you live in the rural area of Sweden. And even here, the municipalities' fiber networks were in the forefront. And we were actually connecting rural areas before there were public fundings for that. And now things have a little bit got out of hand, but anyway. And this is, I would say, ongoing right now. This is just some weeks ago that one of the service provider, Bahnhof, announced that they will have a 10 gigabit connection to private households in their network. And I saw a comment on that there is no customer request for this capacity. And of course there isn't, but that's not the case. All studies and research show that in an area where you have higher bandwidth than others, there will be increased number of new companies started. There is a decrease in unemployment, and there is a higher turnover in that area. So just by increasing the available capacity, you are actually doing something good for your surrounding. So this is good for Sweden. But also, when we launched 1 gigabit in Karlstad some years ago, it wasn't for we knew that people wouldn't day one start to order 1 gigabit connection. But what it did, it transformed from that there was a 10 megabit service, that was the most common services, and sub 100 megabit services to above 100 megabit services. So even if we only had 1 or 2 ordering gigabit connection, the early adopters, we had a lot of people ordering sub 100 megabit connections. So it's helping to increase the overall capacity usage, which gives us advantage over other areas. Going the wrong direction. Here we are. In Karlstad, in the beginning of this millennium, when we launched the open network in Karlstad, the idea that you would create a place for all service providers to offer the services to all customers, there was only one thing. There were no service providers available. So when this was launched in Karlstad, here is all the service providers that was available. Someone heard of them? No, I didn't think so. Data Real. Actually, this company still exists, but they do completely different. And it was even like that there was an employee at the municipal fiber network in Karlstad that started this company. He resigned to start a service provider so that we would have one service provider when we launched the open network in Karlstad. Sometimes you just have to be ahead of your time. And today, this is how I have in my living room, I can activate any of these services up to 1 gigabit. And I will be able, or if I want to start a hotel television service or something like that, I can activate that as well. And there will be service provider for IoT and so on, GDPR or whatever may come. And I know some of them will merge or already done that, but there will come a new one. I know there's on someone niched for gaming on the way, and there will be niched for VR and so on. So this is always changing, adding a new. And this really shows that this work, everybody has, all those service providers can access all customers. And I know that some of these service providers, they don't want this. They want to own the customers. I don't want to be owned. I want to sit in my living room and have this choice. And I can understand that because no company likes competition. It's just like it is. They don't like it. And if you have the chance of pushing away your competitor, you do this. That's why it's so important it's on equal basis. And it makes sense if you're in a company that you want to own the customers. But my sincerely belief is that is actually the best for everyone, because then everybody has access of all the market. And you have to be best, most priceworthy. You earn me. And so this is the situation in Sweden. And a lot of it, I'm not saying it's entirely due to the municipal fiber network, but they contributed a lot. There wouldn't have been, Sweden wouldn't be in the position with broadband and fiber today if it wasn't for the municipal fiber network. And we have one of the lowest prices in Europe on broadband. We have a lot of ISP developing and offering different and services, and there's a lot of diversity on that market, which I think as a customer is good. And there's also, due to this marketplace, the open network, a lot of companies developing equipment and services and systems for that is actually exporting it as well. So there's a lot of development on the back of this as well. And also, there is, because most municipal fiber network are open on all levels, from dark fiber to be a marketplace for service provider, we wouldn't have such a good coverage for 3G and 4G in Sweden if it wasn't for those fiber network. There would mainly be one that would have that. And Sweden is in second place in Europe on deploying fiber. I think it's only Lithuania that have higher coverage of fiber than Sweden. Which means that we as a nation, or Sweden as a nation, I'm Icelandic, but there we go, is more competitive. There are more companies that starts and if you look at the alternative, in nation where the incumbent still is dominating, you don't see this development. So I think that it is indisputable the effect this have had on the Swedish market and where we are today, whether you like it or not. There was something that I was going to say when I saw this picture, and that was benefit. We're talking about municipality, owned by us. Municipality. Why is it called, do we have an English teacher here? Why is it called municipality? It's a very difficult word. It's almost like that when they invented the word municipality, it's just an interim. We're just going to use it for a couple of weeks and then. In Sweden, it's kommun, which is like us together, yes? It's Latin. So it's the Romans' fault. Okay. Good, thank you. Then I know that. Yes, benefit. A municipality is only allowed to do certain things if it benefits the citizens. And they're not allowed to go into competition with the market, unless in certain cases. And here is where the debate is at. What is a municipal fiber network allowed to do or not allowed to do? Is this an infrastructure, like roads or water or electricity? And if it is, are they allowed to operate the network? It's a next question. So this is actually what authorities are investigating today, and will, before the summer, have a recommendation to the government on the issue. And I think it would be really sad if we are not allowed to develop, or those municipal fiber network allowed to develop in this direction they're doing now. Not selling services, but offering the infrastructure for all service provider to access customer on equal basis. So the risk is that they might only be allowed to operate the passive network. And I say it's just like if you are a utility, if you run a utility or electricity network, if you are not allowed to own or operate the transformators, it would be kind of strange. Another thing about this debate, now we're getting complicated. If you fell asleep when I said municipality, I don't know what you're going to do when I'm going to say communication operator. Have you heard of it? Yes, I know. and it's like in Harry Potter, who you're not allowed to mention. And actually, there is no one alive that could explain this so ordinary people would understand. But let me give it a shot. This is how many people try to explain the municipal network. That you have a passive network, you have the active network, you have the support system, so that all of the ISP will get the right customer, will get the right service, and be billed for the right service, and so on. This is how you would describe it, or many people do. And this is the municipal fiber network. This is their responsibility today. And then a lot of ISP, as I showed you before. Now, in the beginning, when those started to come around, those municipal networks, they had a difficulty of they were not earning enough money and they were not profitable. Some entrepreneur saw this as a business idea. And that's a good idea, that you take away from them what you can do in a larger scale. But the problem was that there was not that much money in this. And the ISPs, they weren't happy either, because now someone came in between and took a piece of the cake, and no one likes that. So when those entrepreneurial-driven communication operators were struggling, along came our national operators, so telcos, and bought them. So today all of them are owned by telcos. And this is the situation where you are today, where you have these communication operators. That they are actually running their own service. They are also a service provider. And that, I would say, is not entirely on an equal basis. So it's a bit contradicting its own purpose. And this is very clear in the study that we've done that this is not the ISPs, the other ISPs is not happy with the situation. And they say that if ISP 1 get the chance, they will of course try to lock in the customers. And we are risking of the future of open network, I say. And this is very debatable. So I'm expressing my view on this. I will have to be clear on saying. What about the future? When we interview service provider, system integrators, consultancy, and everybody doing business with municipal fiber network, what is the future? And that's what they said. 85% said that the next product in open networks would be e-health services, which of course is mainly IoT. I know that most municipal fiber networks are already on that and already working with a municipality on services like that. Internet of Things is, of course, high on the agenda, which is e-health is also IoT and smart home and smart city. So if you summarize it, it's about 200% of the municipal network are working with IoT, and which makes sense because that's about how the IoT market is at the moment. Nobody really knows where to go. Wi-Fi, public Wi-Fi is also on the way, and I know a lot of municipalities are already launching that. And a lot of municipalities have already launched IoT services, LoRaWAN and low energy, long range service. Some is working with Sigfox and other techniques. And I know there is a lot of security issues here, trust issues, and so on. And my hope is that the municipality is a trusted part. And who is better to be a trusted part than the municipality? So I hope the market will work together here, both for the services and also for the security. So, as I said several times, this benefits all of us, customers, companies. It increased development. It increased development of service provider. And it's good for the operators as well. And mobile network is good for the municipality and for Sweden. So please, let them live, thrive, and operate their network. Thank you.
Do we have any questions for Hafstein? Have time for a few quick questions. In the middle there, please.
Michael Abrahamson, yeah, you and me have had this discussion before. I think few people here object to the municipality networks running their active infrastructure if they realistically provide the option of dark fiber, so that you can reach individual residential households using dark fiber from centrally placed nodes where thousands of households are aggregated, so that the ISP themselves can light up the fiber. So for me, this is the biggest problem, that a lot of these networks do not. I understand after we had our discussion and what you said here today that Karlstad allows for this. I don't remember what you said the monthly cost was, but from what I remember, it was reasonable. But a lot of these don't, and this is the big problem. The problem is not that they're running their own layer 2 or layer 3 network. The problem is no dark fiber access.
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that question, Christer. It's almost as if I asked you to do it. I couldn't agree with you more. And in fact, the Swedish Fiber Alliance has worked out a recommendation for municipality fiber network for last mile dark fiber. Many municipalities have 95% offer dark fiber, but not to the residential. But now there is a recommendation for that, and when it comes from the Fiber Alliance, it's often deployed. So I think this is soon to be a non-issue. I'm more worried about IPv6, because then we have the interface that we also discussed. IPv6 is a lot of the municipal fiber network have not implemented IPv6, and they say it's due to the interface with the service provider, and the service provider and the network need to go hand in hand to provide IPv6, and I for one, will promote that. So fiber to the house, to the last mile, is soon to be a non-issue.
Any more questions? Okay, then please join me in thanking Hafstein for the
Thank
presentation.
you.
Thank you. And so we come to the final speaker of the session, and this is Andre Vink, a senior sales consultant at Niagara Networks. He has over 20 years of experience in the telecommunications industry, is a carrier Ethernet certified professional, and is experienced in dealing with multiple larger scale enterprises. So please join me in welcoming Andre to the stage.
Thank you. And yeah, nice actually that you said, well, about the carrier Ethernet. That's already a long time ago. And well, actually, well, not actually even that long. And I remember that when I came to my first customer, when he said, well, congratulations, you're actually the first carrier Ethernet consultant in the Netherlands. And he said, so now I have to go to Q&Q? I said, hey, listen. I'm just to support you, not to evangelize or whatever. It's just to support you, and so nice to have to refer to that. But it's not about me. It's about visibility, and visibility. Usually in networks, at least for what I have seen until now, is a little bit of an underrated issue. And the subtitle I gave to this presentation is what you can't manage, what you can't see. So Niagara Networks actually, I would almost say, is a startup. Officially, we're existing for not even, well, just even 3 months. But having said that, we have a large historical base of about, I think, 25 years, being a spin-off of Interface Masters, an OEM equipment manufacturer for that provides to, I would say, the top 100 of IT industries. And we are focusing on network visibility solutions. And what we're talking about then, if you're talking about boxes, then it's about packet brokers. It's about network bypasses, network taps, management. And we, of course, we would like to do that on an intelligent matter. We're based in San Jose. So this gives you a little bit of a perspective of who we actually are, being a very young company, but still a very nice heritage of 25 years. And so what actually is the visibility layer? Well, the visibility layer is actually, I would say, the network next to your production network that gives you the opportunity to make your data visible, to make it manageable, and to give you an insight into your network. It consists of resilient devices, and I would say the first thing you usually do is move these security devices that are in line into your network. Move them out of the line, that if something happens there, that it will not disrupt your network. So usually what we do is take a segment protection, send the traffic in there, send it from there to your firewall. In that case, we have the ability to use heartbeats, and if something happens to that heartbeat, if we cannot detect that heartbeat anymore, we just close the link that at least, well, maybe you're a little bit less protected, but your data is still flowing. It's usually worse than when your network is totally disrupted than having no protection or a bit less protection. And doing that, there are 2 ways of actually doing that. We run the heartbeat through your device, through the security device, whatever device that is. And if you if you lose that heartbeat somehow, the first quickest way to do that, and that we call it fast heartbeat triggered ASIC-based protection, means we lose protection, the ASIC closes the connection between the two network links and traffic is flowing. So that's what actually is the ASIC way. And once you do that, if you have one device, you can also connect 2 devices, 3 devices, 4 devices. If something happens, just fail over to the other device and you have protection. You have resilience already. And still having the resilience that if something happens to your device at all, close the link and your data is still flowing. But suppose you have a power outage, then the second option is just close that fiber. Instead of closing that ASIC, well, that ASIC doesn't have power anymore. Yes, obviously we have 2 power supplies. Obviously everything is protected. But if the whole location is powered down, you still can close that whole segment, closing it by connecting just a fiber between the 2 network ports, and you still have a valid connection. So that means that you have protection on 2 levels. You can have a power down, you can have a disruption of your firewall or protection device. So that's usually the first line. And going there, I would move to the bottom middle, going to from a first firewall connected. Well, if you can have 1, if you can have 2, if you have protection like on the top right, why don't you use it as a packet broker as well and send it to multiple devices? So then you can have investment protection. You have, for instance, 1 firewall. You can add more if you scale your link. Just add devices instead of replacing them all. Just add devices. No problem. If 1 device fails, just load balance across the rest of the devices. If one comes back, just reload balance again and send everything to all devices again. Or on the far left side, send it to multiple devices with multiple functions, like this. So instead of having the monitoring tool 3 firewalls connected, we can have an IPS, we can have a firewall, we can have an IDS, and just send the traffic that these devices would like to have or need to have, just send that traffic to the devices. So IPS can have specific traffic, the firewall can have specific traffic, and the IDS can have it all. No problem. I'll have multiple IDSs, multiple firewalls, multiple IPSs. Just connect them and make sure that the right traffic is going to the right device. And still have that link protection. If something fails, close the link and you're still running. And now, you have protected your devices, but you like to have some more visibility or have this visibility on a central location. Usually you have multiple locations and there you have some firewalls, there you have some inspection devices, there is a bunch of IDSs, some IPSs, and they're all scattered all around the place. What you can do is just tap that traffic, aggregate it to them to a number of ports, send it to a central location, and have all your intelligence on that central location and do the inspection there. Then you can also have the filtering and just send the traffic that you would like to inspect to that central location. Then you have 2 types of traffic, or tapping. The first one is just passive. Just split a fiber, take 20% of the signal, 20% of the light in that fiber, use that as a tapping, 80% is just going through to your router, your switch, whatever. You just take a tap of that traffic. That means that you have to aggregate it on some device with multiple links, aggregate that again to a higher bandwidth downlink to your inspection devices. Or if you already have that active heartbeat and you have that ASIC already, then that ASIC can make that copy for you too and send that traffic to an active tapping port. That means that you can already aggregate on that single device. So suppose you have multiple 1 gig links, aggregate them all together, take all that traffic and send that to a 10 gig link or a 40 gig link as an aggregation port. So instead of having a multiple fibers, a bunch of fibers, and aggregate them, no, just aggregate them on a single port. Send that downlink downstream to your inspection device. So that's what we call traffic grooming and central inspection. Just grab the traffic where it is, take everything together, connect it to some packet brokers, and send it to a central location for inspection. If you do that on an intelligent way, you're about to go to have visibility as a service. Network visibility control. Have insight in your network on all locations. Make it fully flexible. And that's where we introduced the NVC, the Network Visibility Controller. It's actually a controller where we use all the ASICs and see them as one single large ASIC, one large pool of ports where we can interconnect any port to any port, aggregate the traffic, filter it, and just take that specific flow and send that to an inspection device or to a recording device or to whatever connection you would like to have it, to whatever device you would like to have it. Transparent multi-device visibility. And that without any manual configuration. You don't want to configure and say, hey, listen, oh, we need traffic from that port. My inspection port is there. Okay, we need to connect to this packet broker. Then over this connection, take it on that link. Oh, hey, listen, we need a VLAN there, or maybe a GRE tunnel or VXLAN tunnel, and send it over there. And oh, there we have my inspection device. So now I can see the traffic. Now I would like to see it a little bit more intelligent, and have an overview of what the traffic in my network is looking like, and see if links are saturated, specific segments, and segregate your network also on visibility devices, and have group views, topology views, device views, and use a function called fabric flows, and just say, hey, listen, here is my device that I would like to inspect, or these ports. Here are my inspection devices. Click, click, and anything, the whole link is established automatically. You would like to have some filtering, pre-filtering, post-filtering, whatever. Just say, okay, I only want to have HTTP traffic, or I only want to have HTTPS, SSH, whatever, just for inspection. Make it fully flexible, ingress, egress filtering. And if you want to have load balancing on multiple devices on the end side, no problem. Just connect the ports. Say, hey, listen, this is the port that I want to have it. You want to copy it? Okay, make a copy. You want to load balance it? No problem, just load balance it. On-demand traffic inspection. Just click the port. Hey, I see there's something going on. That it seems like a DDoS. Just take that port, copy that traffic, do an inspection, and act accordingly. Make it flexible. Just select your ports and say, I would like to see it. Obviously, in such a package, you would like to have device management as well, so that's in it already. But also make it open. Make it open. We use an SDN architecture for that. So it has a full open flow discovery on all devices. It uses a northbound REST API, but also a southbound REST API. So if you would like to connect to the devices directly, all Niagara devices have a REST API on the device, but also the application has a REST API. So that's the open environment. And to extend that a little more, what we did is we integrated a packetron, a packet processor, or actually multiple packet processors, if you would like to have them in your system, just for the traditional services like deduplication of traffic, packet slicing, but also for net flow generation, net flow aggregation on these packetron processors. And if one is not enough, just slide another in and increase your performance on that one. But we saw that we are a hardware company, and there are so many companies that do very nice things to make that information much more visible to you than we can do it. We just provide you the ability to take that traffic and send that to inspection devices. We are not an inspection device, but we have the power in the machine to do some inspection. So what we did is open up this packetron and give it the opportunity to port other vendors' application to the packetron. So if you're a vendor and you have some specific application that can run on the and give you information, you can process it at the core of in the network, process it on the packetron instead of sending a lot of traffic to your inspection devices. Do even some pre-process on the packetron and then send it to your application, making sure that you don't send so much traffic where it is not needed. And then the third phase, when you have this already, and we have that visibility controller, that is already an SDN controller. It has the REST API, so it can be a member of a much larger management application, management suite. Well, in that case, we can even use this application, the third application, and just push it to the device. That is, for now, it's a future development, so we did not develop that yet, but this is the roadmap that we're going. Just take that application, make it as a virtual service, and push that to the device. You don't need it anymore, just remove it. This is where we're heading. So making your visibility in the network flexible, make it manageable, and give you a good insight of what is happening in your network. And if you know what's happening in your network, then you can act on it. If you don't know, it's just a wild guess. So that was my story about visibility in the network. Thank you.
We have time for a quick question to Andre, if anyone has anything they want to ask. Okay, well, please join me in thanking Andre very much for his presentation. Thank you. Okay, well, that brings us to the end of the speakers from this two-day Netnod meeting. It only remains for me to bring onto the stage Karina Christiansen, who is the head of marketing at Netnod. So please give a round of applause to Karina.
Hello. Okay. Thank you, Rob. I won't keep you long. I just wanted to say a big thank you to our sponsors. Without this, we couldn't really do these meetings now. I mean, I've been with Netnod for just over 2 years, and the community keeps growing and growing. We tried a different venue this time. It seemed to be about the right size for the number of people. We are planning another meeting, a tech meeting, a one-day meeting again in October. The date's set for the Thursday, the 11th of October. Stay tuned for invitations for that. We're trying to keep it at about the same size, if not a little bit smaller. It's becoming more and more difficult actually in Stockholm to find suitable venues. But as usual, we will always be streaming it on YouTube as well. So anyone who can't get a ticket, you can always watch it remotely. And then I just want to say a big thank you to Rob, who has, come back, Rob, has kept us on track for the 2 days. And I think all of my team are out there trying to pack up. They've already started packing up. So obviously, without Siri, Casper, Sarah, and also all of the ops guys. And Victor, there's a few of you sitting at the back there who's kept everything running smoothly for us. We couldn't do this. And of course, with all the attendees as well. We obviously do appreciate that you come and you're really the ones who make the community and keep the conversations going and keep us moving forward. So thank you, and see you again in October.